Really rainy day today in Washington. Here with Colin McLeod. It's May 25th, a year after the rally that we went on.
Exactly 1 year.
So I hosted a supercar rally a year ago, and Colin was one of our participants. Now a year later, we're in a garage fixing a broken differential. So, like you guys saw before heading down to Tuner Evo in Portland, this differential case had a ear snap off and the axle broke. Well, on my way back from Tuner Evo, the new axle I replaced it with got completely destroyed. I don't think you can see anything. The differential ear popped out of place. So what I'm going to start by doing is removing the condor bushings from this differential case. What I really need to do is get a hold of a diff brace.
I don't even know what that is.
Here. It's not a stock bushing, and typically you would torch those, but we want to preserve this one, so we have two sockets holding the metal up. I'm just hammering it out. You can see
high-tech equipment.
Exactly. Making some progress. There we go. Alright, I thought this was actually a two-piece bushing, but it's just one. Sweet. Alright, so, here we go. Here we go.
What the hell is this thing? Hey.
So, my thinking before installing this new diff was, alright, the rear end is too solid that the differential snapped off. So maybe if we keep the stock bushings, it'll be better. No.
It's a gunky boy.
Look at that thing. Wunderbar. Alright guys, we fixed the car already.
Let's go do a Bernie.
That's tough. That's tough to do. I don't even know if I got it or not. Yeah.
Do you?
Nope. Down. Stop. Okay, so there's no threads.
Oh?
So what happened?
I am Confucian.
Oh. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay, looks like we got some welding to do. Okay, I know what to do. So, I don't know if you can see this, but back here, this part of the subframe snapped, pushing back where the bolt would go into. So if we bend it back and clean that area up and weld it on,
I don't know better.
it'd probably be better to just install a whole new subframe, but didn't bother filming doing this all again, but we are ready to drop the diff again.
Lower it?
Yep. Oh shit, up. I always forget to unplug vehicle speed sensor.
Oh.
Lower and pull.
It's a boy.
It's a boy. Alright. And now that this is out, we're just going to torch this one and put in the other bushing on this guy. You can see from this side better. See here, we got our Condor speed shop bushing installed. Now we got to torch this bad boy out and replace it. This aluminum piece, putting steel bolts through it,
wrong.
It keeps like getting too hot and then melting to the melting the threads. So I need to just either drill holes through this and then we can reuse it and use a nut and bolt, or just buy a new one and hope that this doesn't overheat.
Yeah.
Now the reason this is overheating typically is because when this diff bolt snaps, if we're like stuck somewhere in a dangerous part of the highway, we still have to drive the car. And so when this snaps and there's torque, this is going up and down, and so this piece will rub against the underbody of the chassis, and so that will cause this piece to get really hot. And then I have issues with where I have to literally take an angle grinder to cut these bolts off and drill through them anyway. So it's not ideal for this to be aluminum, I don't think.
Is that the Guido?
It's essentially the opposite. So like a Guibo on an E30 or an E36 would usually be by the input shaft of the transmission or the output shaft of the transmission up at the front of the drive shaft. This is like a coupler on the back side of the drive shaft towards the back of the car, obviously, as it's attached to the differential. But yeah, so we need to figure something out for this, okay? Drill holes, nuts and bolts, whatever, or or replace it. And on this side, I need to buy a differential brace and keep this thing from flexing. And then of course, cleaning all this grease off. I hate working on things with grease on them. Now let's look under the car and see what's broken. Alright, so this piece here needs to be hammered back into place. This needs to rejoin with this. Then we're going to take gas to our welder so we have strong welds. We're going to weld this back up together, strengthen it, and then we'll line it up with the differential. First we want to line it up before we start welding it. Yeah, then this will be back to normal like this side. So good at explaining things. Not. Yeah, and let's get rid of this grease on the exhaust. Does it look like it's moving at all? It's hard to tell because I'm
Hit it
creating
again.
a shadow every time. But... Alright, so hammer didn't work, but this bottle jack thing never lets me down. We used it to pull the dent out in the E30, and now we're going to use it to get this subframe back into place. So let's see if this works. You see how it's working?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I bet now if I hammer it, there's enough tension on it that it'll...
Or that thing will fly off and kill you.
Potentially. There we go. Yeah, now we just need to clean off that area and double check that it lines up. And you know, the smartest way to do it is to actually just take off the case on the differential and then push it up against it, as opposed to trying to put the whole diff in.
That's true.
But then also you might not get the most accurate. We might have to put the whole diff in place. Oh boy. What do we have here?
Wow! I can see all that shit so hard.
What?
How'd you cheese? I call it, I'm fine.
Hi.
How'd you cheese ball your fucking subframe so hard?
Well, we fixed it. You want to see?
Yeah.
You used a bong.
Look, I used that thing again. Do you remember this thing? We got it back into place. What?
You have gas in it for your welder?
No, but I got a friend who's gonna bring gas over potentially today. Alright, Garrett. See ya.
Hey, Michael.
Bye.
Well, Kyle just offered us a subframe for $100.
Hey.
I don't want to break it. Okay. Line this up. I wonder if we loosen this a bit. Oh, it stayed in place. That's good. So now
You can take that thing off.
we can take this off and push from here. Place that right on the coilover. There you go. Okay. Whoa. I love this tool because even when the battery dies, you can still use it.
Did the battery just die?
Pretty much. We got it lined up, and this still looks straight, so that's good. So we have the subframe back into position. Question is when we try to get access to weld it, I feel like we should try and tack weld it from the position it's in now before unbolting this, otherwise it's just gonna move again. We want it to be like perfectly lined up, not
ideal,
unperfectly lined up. So I think this was a good idea, taking the case off. We are going to start welding. Clean the surface. We got it pushed back, lined up in the correct position. Wow, that's bright.
Yeah.